but easy in the Big Easy today for the Raiders as they lose this one 24-0 to the Saints. Welcome into Raiders Game Day. I'm Amber Theoharis along with Eric Allen and James Jones. And look, this is a game that you got to put behind you. Move on to Jacksonville. James, you have been part of a game like this for the Raiders back in 2014. The last time the Raiders were shut out. Yeah. What is the mentality now of this team? Do you have to just move on?
Why you got to bring me into this?
I just trying to relate.
It's all good. No, I mean, the main thing is on to the next one, right? I mean, there's nothing you can really do about this one. We came out here, we did not play good football any phase of the game, right? So the only thing you can do is move on to the next game, right? Find the one or two things you did solid on defense, one or two things you did solid on offense, and let's move on. This is not us. We all agree. This is not us, right? That's my message. If I'm Josh McDaniels, this is not us. This is not what we put on film, right? Even though we have lost games, we have scored plenty of points in these games. We have played really good football. This is not us. Flush this one down the toilet. Let's get on to the next game.
Yeah, so optimistic coming into this week with the performance we had last week, trying to find our identity. We thought we found that, right, with the running game. Obviously, Coach Allen for the Saints did an amazing job getting his football team prepared. All his big-time players who were on the bench because of injuries, it didn't really matter. I mean, they really had an outstanding game plan on both sides of the ball. Thought we needed to come out early, be aggressive with our play calling, kind of take them out of the flow. Really nothing on our point really came to a situation where we were able to dictate tempo. Very disappointing today.
Yeah, top three scoring offense, not able to score a point, uncharacteristic. Here's what's on tap for this show. We are going to give you full game highlights, and we're going to hear from the players and the coaches. What does Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr have to say about this? EA is going to break down the performance of Alvin Kamara. They just could not stop him today. And, of course, we'll look forward to Monday Night Football between the Browns and the Bengals. But let's get you caught up on the action from this game in New Orleans at the Caesars Superdome. The Raiders coming into this one 2-4, and Raiders Nation was there.
Oh, yeah.
So was Zeus and Aphrodite and all of them. They were there. But Raiders' second drive facing 3rd and 7 from their own 19. And Matt Collins gets started early, 13 yards over the middle, first down Raiders.
Yeah, could have used a little more of that speed up the field. Matt Collins, big target. Way to get the...
Really clean pocket right there, though. We can have a clean pocket all game long.
Later in the drive, Josh Jacobs always running hard, aggressive, 16 yards. But again, when you get down early, we couldn't get enough of that.
Absolutely, and that's what sucks, right? 28 kind of gets eliminated once you go down that much, and you got to just throw this ball all over the yard, try to scratch and claw your way back in the game. And that's not our formula. Our formula is to hand the ball off to 28 and play action pass. And the Saints took that away today. Kudos to the Saints. Give them credit. Their defense played well.
And they tackled fairly well today.
They did. They did a good job. And then here comes this man, Taysom Hill. We spoke about him all week leading up to the game.
Waldo?
Lined up in the slot that time, 11 yards through the air. And then 2 plays later, Andy can run. 7-yard run there. Next play, 1st and 20 for the Saints on their own 46. And Andy Dalton finds Rashid Shaheed for 30 yards. That's the undrafted rookie out of Weber State, and he has been great for this team so far this season.
He's coming along for them really nice, can really run, right? Run really good routes, and he's a playmaker with the ball in his hands. They're starting to find ways to get him to rock.
All right, 3 plays later, it's 3rd and 1, and Taysom Hill, again, to the right, 7 yards. Fights to come back inbounds. We saw you go out of bounds.
Yeah, guys, what do you notice about these runs, Taysom Hill? Physical runs, right? Did we match the physicality today on some of these runs? And it just
not right here.
Seem like we were able to get him down with the first tackle.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara there with the aggressive run, 3-yard touchdown. Saints up 7-0. That was actually his first touchdown of the season, but wouldn't be his last for this game.
Physical nature of the game right here. Saints just kind of took it to us up front.
I know EA going to break down 41 a little bit later in the show, but 41 is absolutely special, right? And it's really nothing nobody can do to stop this guy when he is in a groove.
Raiders 4th and 2. They go with the fake punt, and it doesn't work. They also get the penalty for the chop block, so they turn that turnover into 3 points. The Saints do. They hit a 37-yard field goal, and then they're up 10-0. Raiders' next possession, 3rd and 2. Derek Carr. Pass intended for Hunter Renfrow. It's picked off by the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, the veteran.
He did a great job of disguising at the beginning of that play, forcing Derek to have to throw the ball back in the middle, and then tips and overthrows, got to have all those.
Saints with the ball now at midfield. Taysom Hill again, rushing left for 11 yards.
Physical,
and we just attention to detail, right? We let him outside too many times, contain the pocket.
I mean, look at this. The balance of Alvin Kamara falls into the end zone, puts his hand out, gets the touchdown, and the Saints lead 17-0. Take another look.
Didn't he call a players-only meeting this week?
Yeah, Texas route out of the backfield. Andy Dalton, this is really simple for Andy Dalton. Right? Get the ball out of your hands to your running back. Let your running back do what he does. Alvin Kamara, he made that look extremely easy right there. And his balance is phenomenal.
5 Raiders there. 5 Raiders there.
Have
able
to wrap him up.
Bring him down. 17-0 at the half. Saints start with the ball. And it's Alvin Kamara again, 9 yards on the ground. Next play, Alvin Kamara. He can catch the ball, and he can run with it. 36 yards for the touchdown. Duron Harmon, who's been playing very well for the Raiders, misses the tackle there. And so with that, the Saints go up 24-0. It's getting out of hand at this point.
This was a little bit frustrating because we did not challenge Andy Dalton today. We let Andy Dalton just make the simple throws and get them outside their pocket. And then this right here, we couldn't protect all day. Derek Carr could have escaped a couple times and got out of the pocket. He didn't, right? And we were just playing behind the sticks. Right? No offense is good when they are playing behind the sticks. I don't care if you average 30 points like the Raiders or you average 12 points like the Packers. If you are behind the sticks, you are not going to have a good day on offense, and the Saints did a really good job keeping them behind.
Well, when you allow back-to-back sacks, it doesn't help. Jumping ahead to the fourth quarter now, sack number 3 on Derek Carr by Peyton Turner. Protection was an issue all day.
4 guys rushing, 3 guys rushing. They didn't send a lot of guys like they usually do. So again, these were able to break down a pocket with 4 defenders.
And yeah, you play defense. You know when you can get there with 3 rushers and drop 8, they ain't gonna complete too many passes.
Exactly.
I don't care if you got Davante Adams, Marvin Harrison, Randy Moss. You're not gonna complete too many passes.
Chris Olave getting in on the action. He's been great for the Saints, the rookie.
He has.
And McDaniels and Allen embrace 24-0. The Raiders lose this one. Uncharacteristic. I think that is the message going forward. You move on. This was really the first game, James, where it felt like the Raiders were unmatched. Otherwise, every other game, even in the losses, they were in it. They felt they were competitive. This was just one of those games. Some people say the 10 o'clock start on the West Coast, that's not an excuse that you can use, but it was a good game plan, and you have to give credit to the Saints defense.
Yeah, I do. I think when you turn on the film individually, matchups, the Saints won almost every matchup, and that was the issue there. Their stars came to play. Again, it's really all about finding situations that you can exploit matchups, and when you come down defensively, getting after the quarterback with 4 guys, allowing the back end to have their eyes on the quarterback, doubling Davante Adams at times with their zone defense, and we all know Tyrann Mathieu is such an intelligently high IQ football player. He's always in the right spot, really creating situations for our passing game that weren't typical that we've seen the first 7 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and games like this happen. And I know we're sitting up here and we rooting for the Raiders and all that, but games like this happen, right? Sometimes you just wake up and you get beat down, right? That's what the Raiders did. Today they woke up and they just got beat down. Nothing went right. Like I said before, we behind the sticks. We couldn't protect. D.A. dropped a couple passes out there. We couldn't get him involved. They go up. We couldn't get Josh Jacobs involved. We couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. You just wake up and you have days like this. You hate it because you go out in the week and you prepare so well and you have good practices. You feel like you had a good week coming off of a W, and sometimes you just get beat up.
They can't afford an identity crisis, though. Can't let this define their identity. They can't fall apart after this one. Got to move on. Take advantage of going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who did lose to the Denver Broncos. Let's take a look at the final game stats presented by SportsWater. And it was an uneven matchup when you look at the stats, especially for the Raiders to have 38 yards
rushing
on the ground. I mean, this ends a streak of Josh Jacobs where he had 3 games of over 140 rushing yards. The turnover came. It was the Derek Carr pick that we just showed you. That was his first pick in over 123 attempts. Things had been going well for this offense as far as not turning the ball over. They weren't even able to get in the red zone until the very end of the game. They weren't able to even cross the 50-yard line until the end of the game.
Say that again.
They were not in the Saints' territory until 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And the penalties, really cleaning up the penalties is going to have to be a focus of this this team for sure. And one of the stats that wasn't on there that I do want to bring up is defensively, Patrick Graham and this unit need to figure out how to get off the field on third down.
Yes.
They were 58%. The Saints converted 58% of the time.
In week 8. You know, with a quarterback who's been up and down.
So look, they start practice. They go. They're going to be in Tampa working out. They're going to be in Florida. A lot to focus on as they get ready for Jacksonville. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down the performance of Alvin Kamara, and we're going to hear from Divine Deablo. That's next, right here on Raiders Game Day. Raiders Game Day is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights. Book now only at Allegiant.com. Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coors Light, an official beer of Raider Nation, made to chill. Raiders lose this one in New Orleans, 24-0 to the Saints. To talk about the matchup, we bring in Divine Deablo, linebacker for the Raiders. And Divine, we appreciate you joining us after such a tough loss. But this is only your second year in the league. I imagine your first loss of this magnitude. What does the mindset have to be going forward now, putting this behind you and moving on to Jacksonville?
We just got to move on, focus on next week. We're headed to Florida as soon as we get on this plane. We got to rally together and not point fingers and just come together as a team and practice hard.
Yeah, swallow this one, my brother. All right, I've been on the other side of one of these as well, man. 52-0, so you can smile a little bit, right? Get on the plane, look at your iPad, get stuff corrected. But I just want to talk about the defensive game plan, man. Going into this game, what was you guys trying to get done? More man, more zone, mix it up a little bit. What was y'all trying to accomplish?
We're definitely trying to mix it up a little bit, probably mainly man, to stop the run. But clearly we didn't do a good enough job at stopping the run, and that's just something we got to work on. Again, like I said before, just come to practice, ready to work.
Divine, you've been a consistent contributor in the middle of the football field, being so young. Talk to us a little bit about your development and how you think you're doing so far.
Honestly, I still feel like I got a long way to go. I try to be consistent as far as tackles go. I try to push effort to the ball, but I got a long way to go, and I plan on keep improving every week.
I know you said focusing on the run, obviously today very difficult. What makes Alvin Kamara so good, and what do you have to think about next week going up against a guy like Travis Etienne?
Kamara is a very patient runner. He'll cut back. He'll keep it front side. So he has very good vision, and he has speed and quickness. So that's what makes him so good as far as Travis Etienne. I just got to study the film. I know he's similar back, so he's got to prepare for him.
Last one. What was the message from Josh McDaniels? I know coming in after a loss like this, when you're coming into a game that, obviously coming to every game expecting to win, to have an outing like this, what was the message from Coach McDaniels?
Just as a team, we didn't come ready to play. We got to do better job, working harder in practice, and then be ready to play next game from snap one.
Divine, thanks so much for joining us. Keep your head up. There's so much more football left in this season, and we look forward to seeing you guys bounce back against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much.
Divine Deablo leading the Raiders again with 14 tackles. Yep. But as we mentioned, just talking to him, now they've got to learn something coming out of this, because Alvin Kamara had over 158 yards from scrimmage, 3 touchdowns, and Travis Etienne, not quite on Kamara's level, but a similar player that can give you a lot of yards out of the backfield catching as well as rushing the ball.
Yeah, it's cool to, say we're going to flush the wins, flush the losses, I should say, but you really can't. You have to learn from those losses, and something that can learn right away is how this Jacksonville Jaguars team is going to try and attack them. They're going to try and get their running backs isolated on our linebackers. So you have to kind of understand the route tree and kind of what they're trying to do to, as a player and as a staff, find situations where you can put your football players in positions where they could be successful and not the other way around. So it's incredibly important to learn from these losses, and that's what you can do, and that's what this team is going to do.
You're absolutely right, because one thing we do know, and I always say it, is a copycat league. Mm-hmm. If they come on there and Alvin Kamara done run 17 Texas routes and he's catching it and he's making, hey, you better believe Travis Etienne is going to come out running some of those routes. So whatever coverages we was running against the bunch formations, maybe we need to switch that up because you know teams are going to come out and attack that. If the running back's in the backfield, you know some of these routes are coming. Maybe we need to switch up our communication and the way we attack that. But you better believe when Jacksonville turns on the tape, they're going to try to get to that on the offensive side of the ball.
One thing Jacksonville doesn't have is Taysom Hill, and I know there was frustration with Taysom Hill because he lines up at what looks like the Wildcat, but he's really just a quarterback, but you know he's going to run it in that formation. They won't have to deal with that in Jacksonville. But was there concern about the lack of adjustments, knowing kind of what he was going to do, or is he just that difficult to stop?
The physical presence there. I mean, when he's in the ball game, you have to understand, you want to force him to throw the football. I mean, you want to put him in his position where he is the quarterback and not a running back there, and it's the physical nature. So your guys up front have to really do a great job of containing him, making him run the ball in the middle of the football field, which we had a really difficult time doing. He bounces to the outside a lot. Now it's him on a safety, him on a cornerback, and he's very physical, finishing runs, falling forward. So again, another lesson, right, that we can learn going forward.
And this one's a little frustrating, right? Because we work up here, we work for the Raiders, right? So we bought into this thing, right? And we feel like we take the losses harder than the players take the losses, right? Because we in it. We in there slamming TVs and all that, you know, hitting tables and all that, trying to get this thing going. So for me, watching the game is frustrating, right? Because it's two guys that we could not let beat us, EA.
Yeah, right.
That's 41-7. And they both had big days. So for me, it's like, come on now, let's lock in, because if anybody beats us, it should have been Chris Olave. It should have been, you know, my guy, Andy Dalton, my guy from Weber, wherever college he went to. Weber State.
Yeah.
Like, those guys should have beat us, not 41-7. And today, 41-7 had their days, and they really beat up on us. But we got to clean stuff up and come back to the drawing board and get better.
Well, probably one of the biggest storylines was the Raiders come into this game with a top 3 scoring offense. They've been scoring around 30 points a game their last 3 games, and then they're unable to score 1 point in this game. Let's hear from Derek Carr as he spoke to the press after the game.
I know you haven't watched the film yet, but Davante 1 catch, Hunter 1 catch. Something they did that kind of surprise you guys, or something? Maybe it was just the protection or coverage. What did you see on the field as far as what was giving you a hard time?
Well, there's a couple times that I was trying to step up, pump it one way, find a window and things like that. There was also a couple where someone was there and I had to dish it to Josh or dish it to someone else, something like that. There was Hunter had a big play. I went to throw it and Chris Harris left his guy, or I think it was Chris, someone on the flat. So Foster ended up getting us the first down. And that was an opportunity. We had another one to Hunter on a little sail, little concept. And then something happened up front. I mean, ran a great route, beat the guy. There was, the one I threw the pick on to Hunter. Waiting on the window. I tried to sneak it behind the guy, and he got his hands on it and tipped it up. There's so many different things that happened. And again, I'm not worried. We were seeing it. We were going to the places Josh wanted to go and things like that. But us as players, we just got to do better, And it starts with that competitive, juice and practice of dominating that. And hopefully we'll do that this week.
Can you talk a little bit about Foster's day coming back here to New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, I know that he had a lot of family here, a lot of friends. And, we're professionals. We're trying to win football games, but that's a cool moment for his family to see someone who grew up, here and, probably dreamed of maybe playing here, and all those things, end up going to LSU. There's so much, there. And so I'm sure for his family, I'm sure that was a really cool moment, for them to be able to see him back in their hometown and do, playing football.
Sorry, first time you guys have been shut out since your rookie year at St. Louis. That game was sandwiched between 2 wins, your first win ever, and then you came back and beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
What type of lesson, granted 8 years ago, but what type of lesson can you impart from that game? And this felt similar.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I thought of the same game when I was sitting on the sideline. And there was some similarities that I'm going to keep to myself that I saw in that. But things I can draw from. I think that's a nice thing about having experience is that you can speak into something because you've been through it, And so I thought of the same game, Paul. I really did. And I also, hopefully looking forward, it doesn't promise us anything, just because we did it back then, just because I went through something then. But it does give me some things that I can put my finger on with certain guys and with myself and to make sure that I'm better, make sure we're better going forward. But we gotta correct this tomorrow, and we gotta flush it as fast as we can and get ready to practice. because the only thing that's going to fix it is on that practice field.
Are you confident this is a one-game aberration?
I mean, I hope so, but if I say anything else and it happens again, I'll get quoted. So.
So a lot of work to do starting tomorrow as they travel to Tampa. They're going to be at IMG Academy, getting ready, staying on the East Coast, getting ready for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But one of the questions that really wasn't asked to Derek Carr is, where was Davante Adams? Davante Adams was targeted only 5 times. Boston Moreau had 9 targets. Great to see him, the LSU guy, have a good game. But still, Davante Adams is part of the lifeblood of this team. And for him to have only 1 catch for 3 yards at the very end of the game, JJ, what happened?
Yeah, a little bit of everything happened, right? Number one, DC probably could have gave him a little bit more opportunities, right? Number two, DA got to go up and make the tough catches. And I text him and call him and let him know right now, you got to go up and make those, right? One back shoulder, he dropped, right? One, we challenged, right? Bad angle. Who knows if he was in or not? They called it out. And then he gave him another opportunity on a jump ball that he didn't make, right? But not only that, we was talking about it together in there, right? We got one-on-one with Davante Adams, and we're motioning people to his side, right? Leave Davante Adams one-on-one sometimes. Let him work. Let's get the ball out of our hands fast and let's go. And then the other thing that sucked too is, like I said, we're behind the sticks, right?
Yeah.
So if you at 2nd and 18, 3rd and 18, right, it's going to be tough because you're going to drop 8. It's going to be tough. And the only pass that's there is the check downs to the tight ends and the running backs.
The young DBs.
On a defensive standpoint,
they did a good job.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. You want to come in and say, you know what, we're going to play, we're going to rush 4, we're going to get some designs in the back end to be able to disguise, and then throw some zones at him, right? So you're going to look at the first picture with some window dressing, come back, and it's going to be a totally different picture. We're going to slide our safety down and bracket in from inside out, so it's up to Derek to be able to see that and go somewhere else. So again, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm going to come through saying, I'm not going to allow Davante Adams to beat me. Yeah. I'm going to throw different coverages at him. Hopefully he's in the field so I can have my corner play on top, make it a difficult throw. They were doing that all day.
And like our coach always used to tell us, they get direct deposit too. They get paid to play this game too, right?
Yeah,
so we got to give them credit. They came out, they played well on defense, played well on offense, took advantage of the mistakes that the Raiders made, right? They make money to play football too, and they beat up on the Raiders today. It happened.
Yeah, I have to be fair. The last time Davante Adams didn't have a catch in a game, he did have a catch in this game, 2015 Packers. That day, they went to JJ. 170 yards. 170 yards in that game. All right, when we come back, we're going to take a look at the offense live and the pressure next.
Hi, my name is Colton Jones. I'm 17 years old and I play football at Spring Valley High School. I'm an outside linebacker. To me, what it means to be a leader is to have the responsibility to the guys around me to ensure that they're playing good on the field and that they're good people off the field. It's extremely humbling to be recognized as a leader in my community. I like to go downtown and help clean up and pick up trash, as well as my local neighborhoods and parks around me. I'd like to thank the Las Vegas Raiders and Intermountain Healthcare for recognizing me and giving me the opportunity to accept this great award.
Welcome back to Raiders Game Day. The Raiders lose this one 24-0 to the New Orleans Saints. They're going to stay on the East Coast, get ready to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they fall to 2-5. And Derek Carr spent a lot of time on his back. 3 sacks, a loss of 20 yards. Also, when Jared Stidham came in at the end, he gets sacked as well. You have to credit the defense of the Saints for bringing that pressure. But, JJ, this was the 10th different combination of offensive linemen that we have seen for the Raiders. And today, perhaps the lack of gelling was exposed?
Yeah, the Cookie Monsters, they had a rough day today, and as part of it is playing in that dome, the energy and the effort that this team came out with early in that game, right? They came out with more energy than we had, and EA spoke on it. Just the physicality and violence that they played with up there, right, was unmatched. We did not match that, and they got after Derek Carr. They were shrinking that pocket, and they were getting after him. But my guy, number 4, you are an athlete. Help these young fellas out. Escape this pocket sometimes, right? So you can pick up some plays with your leg. The biggest plays in games come off of the unscripted plays, scramble plays, getting outside the pocket, giving your receivers a little bit more time to get the football off, right? The Cookie Monsters rough outing, right? But just like the Raiders team today, everybody had a little rough outing, right? They will bounce back. They've been playing well. They'll bounce back, make sure they keep that white jersey clean next week.
Pocket
Jacksonville.
passers are an endangered species, right? You have to be able to get outside the pocket, extend the play, either by yourself if you feel comfortable, and if you don't feel comfortable, hopefully your coaching staff understands that and has some design rollouts. And we've seen that before. It's not like it hasn't been done.
Yeah.
We've seen it last week. You roll them out because, again, this Saints defense is about physical upfront play. They're not talking about speed pass rushing, right? They're bull rushing you. They're using their tricks. But again, it's about the quarterback at times and the coordinator being able to help yourself out by rolling outside the pocket, really being able to keep your team on the up top, being able to take advantage of that guy outside the pocket.
Because we can't.
You never want a chart to look like this of possessions,
No,
right?
no.
Punt, punt, turn it over on downs, interception, punt, 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 end of game. And that leads to 0 points. And if you're the Raiders, I think this is one of those things that you look at what you've been doing the past couple of games and you say we need to do more of that, where they were scoring over 30 points a game, and look at this as an anomaly. But as you said, don't flush it too quick.
Right.
Learn from
Gotta
it
learn.
and move on. And probably with the defense helping out a little more in the first quarter, not allowing points to be scored, allowing Josh Jacobs to get into a rhythm and running the ball is really the formula that these Raiders are built on. When we come back, we are going to break down Alvin Kamara. What a performance by Alvin Kamara. He's one of the best backs in the NFL, one of the most versatile. So EA is going to have that in our defensive spotlight coming up next right here on Raiders Game Day. This segment has been brought to you by Twitch. Watch, discover, join in.
Raider Nation, it's Sandra Douglas Morgan. It's time to make your voice heard at the ballot box. Registered voters in Clark County have the option to vote early from October 22nd through November 4th, or on Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th. This is your chance to join the Las Vegas Raiders as we get ready to vote. Make your plan and then get it done. Visit Raiders.com/vote to learn more about your voting options. Go Raiders.
The Raiders shut out in the Big Easy 24-0. They lose to the Saints. And JJ, who had the biggest day for the Saints?
Alvin Kamara, we talked about him on the Friday show, but Alvin Kamara went to work.
Yeah, he did. 3 touchdowns, over 150 yards from scrimmage. To break down what went wrong, let's talk to our guy, Eric Allen, with the defensive spotlight.
Guys, I'm not happy to be putting this guy on blast.
Much
right?
credit.
I'm not happy to
credit.
be putting this guy on blast, but he is one of the best dual threat running backs in the National Football League, running and catching. But today, spectacular. No touchdowns coming into this game, leaving with 3. This is one of the reasons he was able to do it. Right now, our defense comes in with a really aggressive mindset, want to play some one-on-one coverage, one high. So right now, we got matched up with a linebacker, Divine Deablo, and look at another opportunity for him to get matched up on a linebacker, easily 4 or 5 yards. This is just the beginning of what we're going to see basically the whole day. Catches again and win-on-man situations, a choice, Texas, whatever. Look at that. He understands the linebacker's going outside for the route. He adjusts, and look at the versatility, the balance to be able to bounce off tacklers. And once again, you see the linebacker, he's going to try and read this and go outside and anticipate it. He doesn't even run the full route. He comes inside, easy catch. No one's in the middle. Andy Dalton's just playing with toys right here. Just so incredible with this, again, catching us one-on-one coverage, man-on-man. Again, you try and jump outside. He just choices against you. He options off you. This is just so easy for Andy to be able to line up and throw the ball, the missed tackles. Alvin Kamara was on his game today. And as we see it again, one more time, you want to jump outside. You can't do this next week. We're going to have to have someone outside, make that linebacker sit inside. So now he's someone there who can maybe pick that ball off. But Alvin Kamara had a day on us today, going one-on-one with our linebackers. Next week, can't have that happen. Back to you guys.
He's hard to stop, and if you look at his numbers, you can see why. He had 62 rushing yards, but look, he was almost a 100-yard receiver today. This man's a running back, last time I checked. He has 3 touchdowns on the day, so dual threat. They're going to see somebody just like him coming up next week, and Travis Etienne, so they need to figure that out. They didn't let Chris Olave beat him. They didn't let Rashid Shaheed beat them. They didn't have Jarvis Landry. They didn't have Michael Thomas out there, and I think that's one of the hardest parts of this loss is they beat a team that they felt like they lost to a team that they felt like they could have beaten, a team that has Andy Dalton that was prone to turning the ball over, didn't take advantage of some of the opportunities to pick off.
Yeah, maybe
Andy
the
Dalton.
numbers coming into the game kind of, threw things off for our defense. Hey, the guy doesn't have any touchdowns. Man, he hasn't been a really big factor. But after the third or fourth series, you have to know that this guy is going to be the most important player on the football field offensively. You want to force Andy to have to throw the ball down the field, right? That's what you kind of want to do. You don't want them to be able just to kind of drop back, throw the ball to Alvin over the middle of the football field and hope someone can get their hands on him.
And for me, EA and Amber, like, you've played in some football games to where you have won, but you've come out of that game and you said, I was garbage today.
Yeah.
I did not play good football. We didn't play good football as a team, even though we won, right? You've won some games.
Yeah.
I mean, you've lost some games to where you came out like we played extremely well and lost the game. For the Raiders, this is not us. That is not what we, even in our losses, that's not what we put on tape. In our wins, that's not what we put on tape. This is not us. So as we watch the film, as the Raiders watch the film, that's not us, right? So you get some confidence off that. We know that we're not like that on the offensive side of the ball. We know we score 30 a game. Defensively, we get off the field on third down, we're going to be okay.
Perhaps that's the message Josh McDaniels gave to the team.
Do I need to talk to the team?
Yeah, yeah. Were you in the locker room? Let's hear what Josh McDaniels had to say to the press in his press conference brought to you by Yamava.
The fake punt. Did you kind of feel like you were talking about the control?
There's always an opportunity to do that, in the kicking game sometimes where you build in calls where, depending on the look, you might have a shot at it or those kind of things. I think most teams are doing that nowadays. Obviously, it didn't work out in our favor. We'll have to see exactly what happened on that. And, but when you do those things, it comes down to execution, and they obviously did a better job than we did.
To the pressure, it seemed like they were really disruptive up front. Did they do anything that surprised you guys up there?
No, I mean, they got a good front. Again, I think I think most importantly for us is when you're behind the sticks, I would say as we were a number of times, they can pin their ears back and rush, and they run a lot of stunts in games. They have good players. They have a good scheme, and they obviously executed it better than we did. But, we don't, being in the shotgun, however many times we were and trying to dig out from long yardage situations is really never a good formula against a team that can rush the passer like they can. So we're going to need to do a better job on first and second down, obviously, to stay away from those situations.
Defensively, it seemed like you guys lost Kamara at times. Is that your vantage point? You kind of didn't know what
He's a good
was?
player. We mix zone, man, different things. I mean, he did some pretty slick things there to get open. He's a point of attack guy for him. Clearly, we didn't do a good enough job with him, or we didn't do a good enough job tackling either, I don't think, when he had the ball in space. But tried to play, I thought competitive in the running game until it just got out of hand there late in the game. And I thought we were that, but, just too many opportunities for him in space. When that happens, he's eventually going to make some big yards, and that's what he did.
What's the message now, Josh, of those guys in the locker room, now that you get away from home for a week?
Yeah, just, look, there's no shortcut to improving. And, it starts with me. I got to work hard. They got to work hard. And that's what we're going to do. I think we have a great group in the locker room. They're very resilient. They practice hard. They study. They prepare. Again, like I said, if you're going to point a finger, point it at me. Obviously, I need to do a better job of getting us ready on game day. But no, I love the group in there. I think they really band together. I thought they fought hard in the second half. We didn't do anything offensively to help ourselves get back in the game, but there was no quit in the football team. I think that's not something to build on, but that's the way you're supposed to play. Play every down, every minute of the game. So just come back to work, this week. We'll be down in Florida, band together here and try to get a victory next weekend against another good team and see what we can do.
Stunning is that to, offensively at least, not even cross the 50-yard line until the last drive of the game?
It's disappointing. Very disappointing, and like I said, obviously I got to do a better job.
Davante Adams with only one reception, and that reception coming in the fourth quarter. For a player of his caliber to have that type of performance, how much of it is like game plan and route based, and how much of it is like good defensive coverage?
You could probably throw it all in there somehow, some way. I know we had a few opportunities. I know the one he made a great catch on the one, and it didn't get overturned. I thought we had a couple other opportunities, but look, people pay attention to really good football players, and obviously that's what he is, and he wants to get going and get started, and and we're trying to do that. And again, I got to do a better job of finding him early in the game and getting him involved.
All right, guys, thank you very much.
Good to go? Okay.
Josh McDaniels falls to 2-5 as head coach of the Raiders. What were you just saying about practice? You felt that they were preparing in the right way from what you saw out at practice.
Yeah, on Friday, I seen them practicing for an hour straight over the bunch formations. They knew the Saints was going to throw some bunch formations at them. And they had the defense out there communicating and all that and going through their reads and all that for a good little hour. But I do want to touch on something because that is really key what Josh McDaniels just said. He said we have to find ways to get Davante Adams the ball early, right? And me being a receiver, just to touch on that, when I got the ball early, I'm trotting back to the huddle like, ooh, it's going to be a long day for EA. EA, I'm finna, because I'm getting the ball in my hands early, right? I used to not get the ball to the third quarter. The quarterback look at me, JG going to make a play? Nuh-uh.
Right.
Not today. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even in a rhythm. I don't know where they're coming from.
It was Foster Moreau, Josh Jacobs, and Matt Collins.
It is key to get him in there.
To piggyback off that, as a defender, if you're the guy, I know that. So my coordinator is going to say, hey, how can we help you keep this guy from getting off? All right, you know what? He loves to run the slants on the backside early. I'm going to get up. I'm going to show press. And at the last second, I'm going to back off. I want a linebacker to come underneath the slant. So if we can get a tip ball. So we're always going to have some bodies rolling at him. He's going to have to be at the line of scrimmage, not thinking about catching the ball, but thinking about how he's going to release. Because I may line up one way and then jump the outside. So I want both those guys thinking, I don't want him to get off. I want him to have a difficult day early so later on it's stressful, and this football team showed a lot of that. I give a lot of credit to Coach Allen for really coming up with a great defensive game plan against this football team.
Former Raider Dennis Allen. Let's hear what Davante Adams had to say in the locker room after the game.
Offensively, what do you think you guys have been rolling really the past few games? What changed coming into this one?
I don't know, honestly. It's going to be one we really got to see the tape. I can't even tell you. That's mine. It just came out, it was a little flat. They matched a couple of things we did. Coverage worked out, got off the field. And I can't even really put my finger on it right now. I'm not too sure.
You talked this season already about turning frustration into action. It seems like you're frustrated after this one. What's kind of the key to turning this around? Moving forward, you guys have had a few games where you might have been in it, but this one was a pretty bad performance. How do you bounce back from that?
Stay the course. That's all we can do. Stay the course, see the tape, make the changes, and come back with energy. And it's about really all you can do.
I like that message, stay the course. You can't afford, as we said, to kind of lose your identity, to go into any kind of crisis mode because of this. Yes, he had one catch for 3 yards. It is one game. Otherwise, he's had several 100-yard games over the past couple of years.
He's frustrated. And that's how, great players are. You get frustrated at times when you work all week, you think things are going to come your way, you get opportunities, and you know what? Sometimes those players on the side make a couple plays here or there, make it difficult for your quarterback to be able to have time to deliver you the ball in the right space. That's why it's a team game, right?
And just to piggyback on that, DA is all about winning. He got the All-Pros. He has the Pro Bowls. He has all that. He is about winning championships and winning. So it's frustrating when you ain't getting the W's for DA, whether you got one catch or 22 catches.
Well, another player that everybody would love to see get more involved is Hunter Renfrow. When we come back, we're going to hear from him in the locker room as the Raiders lose this one at 24-0 to the Saints. They leave the Big Easy at 2-5. We'll be right back on Raiders Game Day. This segment has been brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders shut out at the Caesars Superdome, 24-0. They lose to the Saints, and now they fall to 2-5 on the year as they get ready for the Jacksonville Jaguars. One player who everybody would love to see involved more in the offense is Hunter Renfrow. He had a chance to talk to the media after the game.
You guys have been rolling the last few games offensively, so where do you think that those issues kind of came from? Because they hadn't been issues the past few weeks.
I haven't even watched the film. I'm still kind of digesting what's going on. Maybe ask me Wednesday or Thursday, I could have probably a little better answer. But I think we just shot ourselves in the foot a lot today. And they're a really good defense, right? So combination of that, and you just got to play better.
The team is on to Jacksonville next, so staying here on the East Coast. Do you think that in some ways that might help the team kind of regroup?
I hope it does. It's We went to London back in 2019, my rookie year, and it gave us a good time to bond, a good time to kind of get everything together, and played some good football after that. So hopefully we can kind of go in here, get better, have a good week of practice, get around the guys, and kind of come together as a team. That's the goal, right? And so that's what I'm hoping for.
A lot of frustration all around from the Raiders players as they lose to the New Orleans Saints. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we look forward to the next couple of games and opportunity for the Raiders to claw their way out of this. That's next on Raiders Game Day. This segment has been brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome back to Raiders Game Day. The Raiders lose 24-0 to the New Orleans Saints, but now they look forward. They got to get ready for Jacksonville. Put this one behind them. Let's take a look at the next 4 games coming up. An opportunity to go up against teams that do not have winning records as of now. Today, the Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Denver Broncos. That is what is next. Then the Indianapolis Colts. They come back to Allegiant Stadium. They'll have Raider Nation here supporting them. And then they go and they play the Denver Broncos at Mile High. And the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is not a team that has a losing record.
What did I tell you guys last week about what they're looking at when they see us up on there?
Yeah.
They're saying the same thing we saying about them. Like, hey, these guys are scrubs.
Yeah.
You see what they did? And I know that's not us.
Yeah.
But that's what we put on film.
That's what you put on
so
tape.
That's what all those teams are looking at. They're looking at, hey, this team, they don't run the ball well now against the Saints. So there's some difficult challenges up ahead.
And take advantage maybe of them underestimating the Raiders going into those games, right? Take the opportunity, come out, get ahead early is always the key. Get Josh Jacobs going, open up the game for Davante Adams, get him involved in all as well in the world. If you can get a win.
Defense.
Jacksonville,
right now
get
it's all
off the field on third down.
It's all about your standards right now, too. No look ahead. It's all about your standards, right? When you step on this field in Duval, it's all about your standards. We need to come off this field, win or lose, knowing that we play the type of football we're going to play. Yeah. Sometimes you play your best and you still get beat. But that's okay. We need to go on this field, and we need to play the way we're supposed to play. We cannot have outings like that, and we supposed to be a good football.
And the time change shouldn't be much of a difference because the Raiders are staying now all week on the East Coast, so they'll be more
They knew they had a game at 10 a.m. a long time ago.
All right. One more game left in Week 8. By the way, we do have Monday Night Football, and it is the Battle of Ohio, the Browns and the Bengals. Who are we going with? I know I'm slacking a little bit. I have some work to do. I am going with the Bengals. He picked a team.
I know.
He did not believe it in the Bears last week.
You taking JoJo Burrow and the Bengals?
Of course, with or without Jamar Chase.
I'm taking Jacoby Brissett and Chubby Chubb and the Brownies at the crib.
Jamar Chase is hurt. I'm going with the Browns and that defense. So
you forgot about Tyler Boyd. You forgot about T. Higgins. Come on. I have some confidence. Here's a look at the upcoming schedule. You want to catch all of our programming. We have the press conferences coming up on Monday, and then Tuesday it's Raiders Roundtable. Upon further review podcast on Thursday. JJ and I will be back for the Silver and Black Show on Friday.
All those shows are hot.
It's gonna, they're gonna be hot.
Tune in tomorrow.
The press conference is gonna be big time. Opportunity to get ready for next week. Put the Big Easy behind them. Enjoy your Halloween, everybody. The Raiders fall to 2-5 with a loss to the New Orleans Saints. It is on to Jacksonville for Eric Allen. For James Jones, I'm Amber Theoharis. We'll see you next week on Raiders Game Day.